Hey kids, and welcome to the Dennis from Scratch Q&A show. I'm Dennis from Scratch, and I'm here to answer your questions. For those of you who don't know, I have a 6-month-old baby, which means that questions that were sent to me around that time when she was born kinda maybe got a little bit lost and never got answered. So today we're doing a throwback episode where we're gonna go through old questions. Question 1 comes from Google user who says, "How much can you deadlift, bruh?" I have no idea. I don't go to the gym. I'm just naturally this strong. Sort of. Actually, I don't go to the gym, but I do exercise at home. I mostly focus on body weight exercises. So my general workout routine is gonna be about 2 or 3 times a week. Lately, I've been exercising, just doing a variety of squats and push-ups and pull-ups, just stuff like that. A lot of laying on the floor and leg lifts and stuff like that to work out my core muscles. I like to do a lot of variety in my exercises. And that way I'm not just working one muscle set, I'm kind of doing a whole body workout. But the best way to work out is actually doing manual labor. So I discovered this firsthand because I was kind of doing the same workout routine as I just described for a while, and you know, I was gaining muscle, but I wasn't losing a whole lot of weight. I was a little bit overweight because of some stress in my life that I had put on some extra 20 pounds or whatever. So I actually didn't get rid of that until I was working all day long on my feet, walking around. Walking is one of the best exercises you can do. It's not necessarily gonna make you bulk up, but it will improve your endurance, and it's just the natural way that people were up until a couple hundred years ago when we invented cars. Everybody had to walk everywhere, and that's actually still pretty common in Europe. In a lot of cities, you'll see people just going on a quick walk of 3 miles down to the grocery store or the market, whatever they have over there. So walking is a fantastic exercise. If you don't do any other exercise, just walk. It de-stresses, it gets you out into nature. It's just really nice. So that's what I recommend for just anybody in general. But if you are so inclined, I do really like manual labor as just like your main job. A couple of my friends actually work in the construction field, and I've kind of started doing that as well. I got into the concrete business, which is really hard work, but it's super fulfilling because I get my exercise while I'm working. When I'm actually actively working in the concrete field, I don't exercise at all, and I see huge improvements in muscle gain. So right now I'm off because of the winter, and that's why I'm doing my regular exercises at home. So how much can I deadlift? I actually don't know, but I can do single leg squats now while holding my kid, so I'm pretty proud of that. Question 2 comes from Troy Moses Panton, who says, "Excellent video. Do you know whether or not the bacteria in raw milk compete with those of kefir?" Let me start by saying I have yet to make homemade kefir, but I have made plenty of homemade yogurt from both raw and pasteurized milk, and I have made just clabbered milk, which is when you take raw milk and just warm it without adding a yogurt starter, and then it turns into basically kind of like yogurt. It's just a traditional Irish cultured milk. They didn't use yogurt, they had clabbered milk. What I know about culturing milk is that you take the raw milk or the pasteurized milk, and then you're going to add a culture to it. As you mentioned, raw milk has a lot of bacteria, and the bacteria that's in raw milk is very diverse in its kinds. It has a very wide microbiome, which is part of why it's so healthy for you, because it's just so diverse. Yogurt, on the other hand, is primarily going to be 1 or 2 bacterial strains that culture it into yogurt. Kefir is gonna be a couple different bacterial strains that culture it into kefir. So when you're making yogurt or kefir, you can use either raw or pasteurized milk as the base, and then you're gonna be adding your starter culture, which is the 1 or 2 strains of bacteria in a high concentration, whether you're using like a dedicated yogurt or kefir starter, or you're using a little bit of the yogurt or kefir from your last batch to start the yogurt or kefir. So because of the predominance of that bacterial strain, that's the one that's going to have the strongest effect and going to grow the fastest. That's what makes it yogurt or kefir or a particular kind of yogurt, not just a ambiguous cultured milk. So the short answer is I have not made kefir at home, but I am 99% confident that raw milk is just fine to use to make kefir. It just might not be as consistent of results as pasteurized milk, but it will be healthier. Question 3 comes from Lisa K, who says, could you please talk about microgreens? I've been adding them to my salads randomly, but wondering how nutritional they are and if certain ones are more nutritional than others. Thanks, Lisa K. First off, let's define microgreens. Basically, it's just anything that is a small, young, tender, lettuce, leafy-like vegetable. Generally, it's going to be mustard greens, clover, alfalfa sprouts, I think, sorrel, which is just sour clover. You're also going to see other things that are just like general sprouts. So you're going to find various bean sprouts, beet sprouts, turnip sprouts, just stuff like that. There's 2 things that make microgreens really nutritious. First off, it has all of the things that would make a plant just in a tiny little form, right? So these are sprouts, which are going to eventually turn into full plants. And once you get to a full plant, then you're not going to be eating every part of it generally. Like broccoli, we're not going to be eating the tough stems, we're not going to be eating the leaves oftentimes, we're just usually eating the flowerets. But with the broccoli sprouts, we're getting all of the nutrients that are eventually going to turn into a full broccoli plant, just concentrated into a tiny little sprout, and we're going to eat just a handful of them. So it's not something that you generally would eat a lot of because microgreens are pretty expensive because you're just, it's not a lot of bulk. It's a small thing, and that's okay because it's just highly concentrated nutrients. But the second thing that I love about microgreens that makes them really nutritional is that it is basically just a super variety of vegetables. Generally, when you get microgreens, it's going to be a variety of them. You're not just getting one kind of sprout, you're getting just a mix of them. And that is awesome because we generally don't get enough variety in our diet. We find certain foods that we like and we just stick to those as staple foods, and then we don't branch out. If you start foraging your food, you're gonna start eating like 10 times or 100 times the variety of plants that you eat now, which is really great because then you're not just stuck on one kind of plant and you're getting all sorts of nutrition. So if one thing isn't very nutritious or it isn't right for you, that's okay because you're also eating 100 different other plants, and those, you're bound to have one that works well for you. And so that's why I like microgreens, is it's just a great variety. And yes, I talked about variety and diversity in the last question, and that's because it's really important. So I'll bring up an example. If you're eating potatoes, try branching out. Instead of just eating russet potatoes all the time, eat some red potatoes or some blue potatoes. Did you even know blue potatoes were a thing? I didn't until a few years ago because it's just not something that's generally sold in the grocery store, but you can often find them at farmers markets, or if you go to Trader Joe's, they often have some better variety of vegetables. Instead of always eating green cabbage, get some purple cabbage sometimes. And when you eat microgreens, you're getting like 5 or 6 different plants that you generally wouldn't eat. Who eats clover by itself? But as microgreens in a salad, then you're eating clover. That's awesome. It's got lots of vitamin C in it. So as far as if one is more nutritional than another, I wouldn't be worrying about it. I would just be eating them all to get lots of variety. And if there's some that you like the taste of, eat those more often because, part of being healthy is being happy. And so if something is tasty and makes you happy, well then eat that one more often. Question 4 comes from Friend from India. Well, hello friend, I'm Friend from USA. They say, which milk is better, cow or buffalo? This is a great question and I have some thoughts, but I have not done specific research on buffalo milk. Most of the research I've done is specific to cow's milk or just raw milk in general, everything that is generally consumed by people. Every mammal milk is going to have its own specific nutritional profile that is ideal to that species. So cow milk is most ideal to cows, although it is very beneficial for humans to drink as well. And mice and all sorts of other mammals can drink it and get a lot of nutritional benefit from it, but it's perfectly designed to feed the young of that species. The milk that's actually closest in the nutritional profile to human milk, that would be actually camel milk. And I know that one's not generally available in the States or, most countries, but I suppose in Western Asia or, Northern Africa or wherever camels are, generally found, I suppose that milk would probably be available for purchase. I also know that compared to cow's milk, sheep's milk is a little bit more salty, goat's milk is a little more tangy, and pig's milk is a little bit more sweet, although pig's milk is not generally consumed by people. Other than that, I don't know a whole lot about the other varieties of milk. So regarding your specific question about cow or buffalo, my thought is both of those are large breeds of cattle, So they're generally gonna be pretty close, is my guess. But I would, I'd go for it. If someone offered me some buffalo milk, I'd totally try it. They're both like 1,000-pound cattle that eat grass, so my guess is that their nutritional profile is very similar, although I don't know specifically for sure. What I do know is that all raw milk, regardless of the variety and the species that's producing it, is going to provide a lot of enzymes, a lot of vitamins, and just overall is gonna be super easy to digest. Because in the end, all the milk, regardless of the species that's producing it, is being produced in order to feed the young who need some readily available nutrition. So if raw buffalo milk is easier for you to get, then I say go for it. And question 5 comes from Jennifer Russell, who is not my mom. I definitely wouldn't resort to putting like my mom's question in my videos in order to fill time. That would be crazy. Russell's a super common last name. You don't have to assume that it's my mom, because I was like, obviously, I mean, like, but my mom probably watches my videos because, I mean, she's a good mom, and I mean, that would be kind of embarrassing if my own mom didn't watch my videos. But this is probably a different Jennifer Russell. Just here, it's not my mom, probably. Jennifer Russell, not my mom, says, "Oh my gosh, I love the ranting timer." Well, thanks. I love it too. I'm really glad that you said positive things about the ranting timer, because I thought it was a really good idea too. And I know you told me on the phone, well, probably, I know I didn't talk to you on the phone because you're not my mom. Why are you guys assuming that it's my mom? Thanks for the comment. And thank you also for being subscribed. And I know that you're subscribed for other reasons than you being my mom, and you told me you're subscribed. I just know if people are subscribed. So thanks for being subscribed. And to my mom, please don't be mad at me for saying things about you not being my mom. And because that would be embarrassing if you didn't watch my videos. If my own mom didn't watch my videos, that'd be bad. But if you all want to be like my mom and this other Jennifer Russell, who's definitely not my mom, you can also subscribe. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. That's about it.